This game ends up going the distance here simply because... Hello and welcome to DreamHack Stockholm Day 2. I'm JoRoSaR, and we've had a lot of fun for day number 1, especially for the StarCraft tournament, where the bracket now for the round of 16 is finally confirmed. And we have a little bit more information about who's going to be continuing on their road to BlizzCon and who might be currently out of the running. A lot of huge notable names are now out of the tournament. We have Grubby and Wellmood now out alongside a TLO. We've got Yoda out of the tournament, Hyun, who has qualified for BlizzCon, out of the tournament, Leenock out of the tournament, Yoda, who was trying so hard to qualify, now out of the tournament. And this is before we get to the knockout stages of the bracket. This goes to show really the strength of this DreamHack Stockholm bracket. The number of players here desperate for those WCS points to try and make their way to BlizzCon at the end of this year has just been incredible. And the quality of the final bracket really goes to show that. First up, we have Jockji versus Patience. Now, Jockji, he's already qualified for BlizzCon. He is safe. He wants to make as deep a run into this tournament as possible. Patience, on the other hand, really, he also just wants to get as far as he can. He's not really looking at BlizzCon. He just wants to focus on making sure he has as good a game as possible. I've seen these guys play against each other before. I'm hoping to see some really quick, really aggressive games from them. And even if it ends up being a 2-0, I get the feeling we'll see some nice back-and-forth counter-attacking battles. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. Next up, we've got Su versus Ryung. Now, Su is already comfortably qualified for BlizzCon, and Ryung, well, he has a massive task ahead of him. We all know he's a very good player. I feel like he needs to bring it up to another level to take it to Su. I think he can do that as well, but he doesn't do it every day. So really, to be honest, it depends on which side of the bed he gets out of. I'm hoping for a great series between these two, but I have to mention that I think Su is the favorite to advance. They will be keeping a close eye on that. The next match is one that I personally hold quite dearly. As a Terran player, we've got Pult versus 4GG. Pult's form has been impeccable. Just very good play this tournament so far. 4GG, perhaps not quite on the same level, but what's great is that he's basically a TVT specialist. So he could come out here today and show us another level based on what we've seen before. We can't really judge him on that. He is at his best when he's playing against a ridiculously good player, and especially in a mirror matchup as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring it to the table there, and I think that's going to be a massive TVT to watch. We then got MMA going up against Mana. Now Mana, well, from hearing what he had to say this morning at breakfast, wasn't particularly keen on his chances of making it past the round of 16, but I think he's good enough to take maps off of MMA. Whether he's good enough to take the series off of him, considering MMA's form is just incredible right now. We're heading into the winter of MMA, as we called it in the interview yesterday. If you haven't gone to watch it yet, check out the playlist at the end of this video. My interview with MMA from yesterday is already on there, so make sure you take a look at that. MMA has to be the heavy favorite here, but the great thing about that for Mana is that he ends up having nothing to lose. I want to see something great coming out from him, maybe even something unorthodox. We'll see what ends up happening and if he can sneak in a game against MMA and potentially the series as well. We all know TeamLiquid.net will be rooting him on. The next match after that is CJ Entis' Hero versus Life. Life's going to be so happy about his road to BlizzCon, because even if he loses his round of 16 today, he's more or less going to be 98% qualified. If he wins his round of 16, he's guaranteed BlizzCon. So a lot of results would still have to go against him if he lost round of 16 today to not be able to go. And that's useful, because CJ Hero is a ridiculously good player. I have a feeling this could end up being the series to watch, either this or the Pult series. I'm not 100% sure, depending on how well 4GG stacks up. Those are the two series I'm looking forward to the most today. But we've got Saxri versus True in a ZVZ after that. Now that's particularly interesting because I think these are two players in this tournament that perhaps haven't been talked about as much as some of the others. And I get the feeling that if we get into the round of 4, where there might be a dark horse somewhere, where the commentators or the people at the tournament go, well, hang on a second, where did this guy come from? I get the feeling that that player is going to be coming out of this particular matchup. So I'm really interested to see how Saxri versus True gets on. And I think one of them might be able to make a deep run through here. We'll be keeping an eye on that. And then we're moving towards the tail end of the bracket, but certainly not the tail end in terms of talent. Jae-Dong, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be taking on a Classic. Classic, a GSL champion, but his form has been wavering just a little bit over the last couple of weeks and a month or two. Jae-Dong, not 100% confident in his form, as you remember from our interview yesterday, but he still believes he's the best. He has that impeccable, impervious self-confidence about him, and he's going to try and make his way to BlizzCon. His hopes still hang in the balance, even though he's just about secured. He wants really to make his way up to, I believe, a round of 4 would guarantee him a spot, and a round of 8 would all but guarantee him a spot. That would put him at something like an 80 to 90% chance. So he definitely wants to make it past the round of 16 before he begins to relax even just a little bit, and Classic is a pretty big barrier ahead of him. And then finally, we have Liquid's Bunny going up against Solar. So you know how I said the 2 matches to watch earlier? I might be wrong here because this is definitely a third contender. Bunny, arguably the best non-Korean player at the moment. He is going to struggle to make it to BlizzCon, to be honest. He more or less has to win WCS Europe. I believe he can still not finish first WCS and win here, or have a very, very good result at DreamHack and still find some way to make it in, but he basically needs to win everything he's at. That said, I do think there's a side of Bunny that can make that possible. The way he's in the zone and the way he's playing at the moment, all of his insecurities, if there were any prior to this period, just seem to vanish when he sits down, his hands are on his mouse and keyboard, and he's just focused on the game. And I think Solar is going to be very wary of that threat as well. He, of course, is one of the pre-tournament favorites here, but he had a couple of reservations about Bunny when we spoke yesterday. In fact, I think it was either Solar or Patience in one of the interviews I did where they mentioned Bunny was one of their favorite players to make it into their top 4 when I was asking them about it. It might have been MMA, I'm not sure. But the Koreans hold Bunny in very high regard, and for very good reason. His form is great, his play is great, and he shows no signs of slowing down. This round of 16 bracket is pretty stacked, and I'm looking forward to seeing who makes it to the round of 8 and beyond, where we're going to be having the show here at DreamHack Stockholm at the Globe Arena. I'm JoRoSaR, and we'll catch you later on for more content from DreamHack.